Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Journey. I'm your host, Hans, and today we're going to be talking about the American education system. Let's get right into it. Switch over to the paint. Boom. Bam. Whoop. Hold on. Let's change this crop in a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, the first thing on the chopping block is looks the same, right? Classrooms from like 60 years ago look the same as the classrooms from today, and probably even further back. Right? And the reason why they probably look like that is due to get to these required courses later. All right. The reason why these classrooms are designed the way that they are is more than likely due all the way back to the purpose, their inventive purpose, right? So always fact check when people say things. So fact check me on this, all right? Back, the education system was formed back during around at least around the time of the Industrial Revolution, where manpower was needed to run the factories, right? So Rockefeller and probably Ford and I don't know if Tesla did it as well. However, the main industry giants back then, so Ford, Rockefeller, who else was booming back then? Probably another car producer or something like that. So anyway, the point is, these guys, they needed men. They needed manpower to, have their factories run and whatnot. So they created the education system so that the people could get a little bit of education so that they could go then into the workforce and be factory workers. And that is the root, the core of the education system. So, of course, that then becomes a problem in the modern society that we live in because we do not need factory workers. We need independent, critical thinkers. That is what is needed in society. That is what helps society run. Well, it takes both doing work and critically thinking about things. You need both. However, as we are seeing, if we observe the society that we are in right now, we can see that what we have created is a bunch of people who don't ask questions and just do what they're told. And that's severely problematic because questions, as I talked in in one of my other videos, questions lead to answers, and those answers will lead us further and further and further uh, down a rabbit hole. We'll just have more and more answers. And this is crucial not only for personal development but societal development as well. And in the education system, which we're thrown into at the ripe young age of 4 to 5, right, and are forced to be into it until we're 18 years old, right? They kind of like strip us of asking questions, right? There's probably, you can probably find it somewhere. I remember seeing it like somebody was talking about. You look at a kindergarten classroom, right? All the kids have like 1,000 questions, right? It's like, how this, what this, blah, 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 right? They're just asking questions left, right, and center. And then you look at a classroom of 12th graders, seniors in high school, and they're like just entirely dead inside. They don't have that many questions. They don't really care, and they're just trying to get through the day. Now, of course, some of that is probably due to, developmental changes and, you know, becoming an adult. However, I do believe a lot of it is rooted in the education system because, as I mentioned before, well, I didn't mention it before, not in this video. This is like my second time recording this. Their questions are shut down because the teachers, they don't. Some of them just don't like questions, right? Like it is systemically ingrained within the society, right? If the teachers don't like questions, then the students won't ask questions because they'll ask a question and then they'll get shut down. And it just continually happens and it perpetuates for the, what, 13, 12 or so? No, 14 to 13 to 14 years that you're in the school system. And that's just looking at the school system. That's not even taking into account home issues as well. Like that's right where a common answer to questions might just be like, because I said so. Okay, man. Okay. I say I can do this because I said so. Ugh. Right. Then also people get mad at you because when you rebuttal with that, it's just like, okay. And you just you can sit there and you look like, tripping over my own words. You sit there and you look at them and you're like, you've just done the same thing that I did. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, it looks the same because what it was rooted in, it was to make a machine man, a man that would just put his head down, go to work, clock in like 8 hours a day, go home, and just do the same thing like 5 days a week. Right? And we have perpetuated that. And the main thing that has changed is the industries. Since we have, uh, since we have, I'm drawing a blank on the word. We have robots and automated machines. There we go. We have automated machines and robots. They're basically the same thing, just saying the same word twice. Anyway, we have them, so we don't really need the men. And by men, I kind of mean like just like man in general, like humans, right? Man or woman, we don't really need them. They go in to the factories to just build the cars or whatever, right? However, we've created it so that we have more of a checklist thing in things like the pharmaceutical industry. So let me start writing some stuff down. So we went from, automotives to the pharmaceutical industry, and there was other things, right? Back during the Industrial Revolution that was created for, and then other industries. The pharmaceutical one is the one that comes to my mind uh, most predominantly. And I can tie this to the indoctrination thing. And the notes that you saw earlier is the school system, funnels you down a path, right? Like there's like whatever forest trees, grass, and whatnot along the thing. But since it was designed around creating uh, machine men that just kind of like go to work and put their head down and kind of just do what they're told, right? When we got to the point at which we are at right now of being able to just like not have to do that and branch out, we just needed to change. We can't keep just forcing people down this road. We need to give people the option to choose what they want to do. And you might be like, well, yeah, there is options of what to do. And to an extent, yeah, I will agree. You can get to choose what you want to do. However, I'll jump to the college right now, and I'll do a little diagram associates, right? Then we have bachelor's. I'll just write batch, master, PhD. And this is just a prediction for me, right? So the associates, it was like good, like what, 20, 40 years ago? It was like good, all right, it was all right. It was kind of cool. It was like, yeah, you went to college, good job, right? And then this is 40 years ago still. This was like great. This was like superb. And this was just like outstanding, right? Quite literally. Then over those 40 years, this is pretty much being waned out entirely. It's probably got like a year left, if even, before it's just entirely null. And this has gone down to good. It's degraded in quality. And I would say when the associates kind of wanes out, the bachelor is kind of like losing its quality as well. This will drop down to great, and then this will drop down to superb. And then, of course, heading into the future, like maybe like 10 years or something, this will lose its value. Then this will drop down to good, and then this will drop down to great. And then we might even create a new degree, and then that's not new degree plus, right? Another new degree, and these will gain the marks, right? Fill in the blank. So it would be this would go to superb. This would become outstanding, and then it would degrade in quality as well. Just down the line again. And this is a prediction of me. So yeah, this is a prediction of mine. Sorry. This ties to the funneling because what we have done with the education system is create pretty much a check mark box, right? Of a checklist, right? And a check mark box, right? Or we created a checklist where it's like, if you do this, 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 and this, you're all good, right? Right, you do all that, bam, good job. However, how we've gone about it is creating standardized tests. And what we're seeing standardized tests in some areas kind of wane out, right? I know some of my teachers, they did other things than a standardized test for like a final or whatever, right? So I believe that's a step in the right direction, because through this checklist, what we create is people, we create the machine man, people who just do surface level things just to get straight by. I remember having plenty of friends and knew plenty of people throughout like middle school and high school and even in college a little bit while I was there. They just did the bare minimum. They looked at the rubric and they like didn't put too much thought into it. It was literally just busy work, just to keep them busy. And they wrote like something that would satisfy, if you will, the teacher's taste. And then they'd get graded on it and move on. And that goes into a problem with the grading system, because with these rubrics, right, it is up to teacher interpretation and whatnot. Um, Sorry, my mind went blank for a moment, because varying arguments came into my mind. Because at this point, somebody might be being like, well, Hans, what the hell are we supposed to do then? All right, I'll give you an idea. Let's erase some of this stuff. Actually, I'll leave it up because I'll tie back to it. Right? So for grading, create applied assignments, right? So for like a science class, have the students, instead of taking that standardized test, have them go create a lab, right? Have them go create a lab, right? Even if we already know the answer, like just have them go create a lab, right? Because that'll get the cogs turning. Because, well, there's probably issues with the whole science industry, and I believe I remember seeing a video talking about some of the problems in the science industry. However, part of the change needs to be in the education system, so you get the cogs turning in somebody's mind to get the cogs turning so that they gain the ability to create the labs, create the questions, create the things. You might need to follow a rubric for a little bit so you kind of get the idea of how labs look. However, having them create multiple labs, and then if they have the ability to act upon them, have them act upon their labs, right? And that's for like more sciencey math classes, right? For classes that are more, I'll say abstract, though I believe creative, there we go, creative would be a better defining term for it. So, like art, or yeah, like art of like painting, drawing, sketching, right? Or even like writing types of art. Uh, I would say have, for writing at least, don't create a rubric. Just tell the kids, the students, I should say, because this could go for like any age. You could be in college or like high school or whatever, right? Tell the students to go just write a paper that they're passionate about. Give them I would say, like entire semester with draft deadlines, right? To go and write a paper that they care about. So, it could be about like video games, it could be about a societal issue, it could be about politics, it could be about anything. And just have them go write a paper and implement their own thoughts and opinions on the matter. And those are just some examples of applied assignments, right? For art, it's I believe the assignments are more directed at it, right? Like, I think I had an assignment, like we had to go, actually I didn't even do it. So I remember there was an assignment where we had to go take, or like, do a sketch of, like reflective surfaces. So, you'd like put stuff with like mirrors and then shade it in and draw it and blah, 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 blah. You need to take a breath after all that talking, right? Create the applied assignments because those applied assignments will create the thinkers that we need to have a more informed and intelligent society, which is what education is for. It's to create thinkers, not to create machines out of man. Because I remember being in school and it was just like hell because of that forceful nature, right? There was a couple other factors, but that linearity, and then the grading system and the societal pressures, like what the best is, and you have to get this if you want to get into a good college, and you have to get straight A's, the 4.0 GPA, do extracurriculars, and all this jazz. Creates a lot of stress, which then, causes mental health problems as well, right? Kids, we're seeing depression and anxiety at such high rates nowadays. And I believe that's partially due to the education system and other things. We're just asking too much out of people when they're too young, right? I know what I know because I've gone and done things, and then thankfully I've had the time to sit and analyze and sift through all of my, well, a very large majority of the experiences in my life. We don't allow that if we want the society to move forward. We need to allow more relaxation and more abilities for people to create things rather than throwing them in a system that'll turn them into a machine and close off their mind. Because I believe we can all agree, or at least a large majority of us can agree, that open-mindedness is a fantastic thing, and we almost always look out for people who are open-minded. We also look out for people who are healed or are healing and becoming better persons and better people, not only for themselves, but for the society around them. The education system and a bunch of other systems and societal factors, I'll say, aren't preventing it. However, they are severely hindering it. And we need to combat them. We need to get rid of everything. However, we need to make significant changes to the systems at play if we want to see an advancing society. Otherwise, history will continuously repeat itself and we won't move forward. Right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So we need to change the education system along with many other things. Here is a solution to standardized testing. Instead of funneling people, right? Allow them to choose their own path. And if they decide to switch up their path, let them. I have tried a lot of different things. And the freedom to switch up the path is the best part about it. And that is one of the main issues, I'll say again, in the education system. We aren't, or at the very best, very rarely allowed to switch up our mind and change course. More than likely because of what I said. It was the education system was created to funnel people, humans, into becoming machines for an industrious society. We need to change it. I've provided a solution. I'm not saying it's the best solution. However, it is a solution, right? And that's pretty much the main point I want to get here. Because experience kind of goes with this stuff, right? The schooling is there to help us gain experience, to gain knowledge, and to, when we go out into the real world, be able to hit it with hit the ground running. That's the expression. We're able to jump in with 2 feet, hit the ground running, right? However, we're seeing that that's not really happening, right? We're also seeing, as I mentioned earlier, a very severe decline in the mental health of the students. And the grading system is definitely part of that, because and it's probably partially due to competition. Not saying competition is all bad, or there's too much competition and there is a lack of grace for messing up in the education system and in society in general. And that stress from that feeds into the mental health, along with having the feeling of your free will stripped from you. All right. And number 4, I completely forgot I had number 4 there. So let's talk about number 4 real quick. Like, why the fuck do our schools look similar to prisons, right? We have deans. That's deans, which are similar to wardens, right? They kind of like monitor the students, and if you do anything wrong, you gotta go talk to the dean, right? We have detention, which is similar to like solitary confinement. We have bells, right? Which, you know, prison also has. It's bells to bells, or like slash buzzers, right? That tell you like, hey, time's up, you gotta go to the next place, which is very reminiscent of the prison system. And I'm not gonna lie, they kind of look the same, right? Very blocky structures that are kind of like just dead inside for, in terms of design. It's like no life in there. It's like it feeds into the whole like, put your head down, you go where you're supposed, you go where you're told. You're not supposed to think about it. And if, as I've said multiple times at this point, if we want a society that wants to move forward and advance, we cannot be doing this any longer. We need it to change. And that is all. I hope you all have a wonderful time wherever you might. Slow that down a little bit, right? I hope you all have a wonderful time wherever you might be. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to engage in some discourse in the comments below. Please keep it respectful. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. Okay? Bye-bye.